Hey everyone, this is Pig for Life, and today's review is for Warbotron's WB-01A Airburst, their version of Blast Off from the Combaticons. Just to get started, let's go ahead and review the packaging. And as always, this is my third review of the Warbotron series, or WB-01 series of Warbotron figures. And as always, these guys are really great with packaging. So you can see here a really nice outer sleeve, which is nice and thick, has Warbotron on the front, nice image of Airburst kind of silhouetted, and their Bruticus in the background. And then on the side and back, there's not really much to say. It says Warbotron on both sides. This one says WB-01A Airburst on this side, and then at the top there's really just a grid mark in the bottom. Just some warning labels and so forth. So nothing big there. On the back, you do get another piece of the combined puzzle, which when you put all these together, I imagine you're going to get a really big picture of their Bruticus demolishing the city. Okay? With that, you can take out the sleeve and do a quick look at the actual packaging. So you can see here a really nice window, and you can see Airburst in there. That same image here, but this nice grid-lined mark. This is, again, WB-01A. Again, it's pretty minimal on all sides. This one side does have some information on Airburst, a number, calls him a Sergeant and Marshal Master, and some error and forces of the Warbotron. On the back, you get some more images, some drawings of both the robot and alt mode, and their website and Facebook information here. Okay, so nothing too crazy on the packaging, but it's really high quality, really nice and glossy. It feels really solid and thick. It's gotta be probably my favorite packaging overall. I know that's something to be really weird to have a favorite packaging, but it's still very nice. So once we have Airburst out of his packaging, you get more packaging. You get a nice clamshell, as you can see here. You can see all the accessories that come with Airburst. Even the inside packaging has a nice artwork showing some kind of blast in this one with some damage in the foreground. But yeah, they definitely don't skip on the artwork and packaging. You'd also get the instructions, which also double as a comic. I'm not going to show off the comic here, but it's kind of filled with broken English. It's kind of pretty hilarious. And then you get this bio card, which is a nice sturdy plastic. Reusing that art again. And you get some stats for Airburst. Alright, let's get this out of the way and get this guy out of his packaging. So this is nice and secure. They actually have kind of tabs on the packaging itself to keep the packaging closed. And you'll see that there's a couple of accessories. These are kind of missile launchers, accessories, guns. You also get these two guns here, which we'll talk about later. And then you get Airburst himself, which looks really good out of the packaging. Zooming in, let's go straight into robot mode review and start with the head sculpt, as usual. And the head sculpt looks really nice. I mean, it's kind of, if you, at first glance, you might be like, oh, it's a really kind of crappy Optimus head sculpt, but no, this is a pretty good representation of the G1 Blast Off. And as always, Warbotron has great light piping. It's kind of hard to see here, but because it has all this here, you get a lot of nice light piping through the front. I just don't have any direct lighting in the back, so you're not going to be able to see it that well. But believe me, even in low lighting, you get a real benefit from that high amount of light piping. Okay, sorry about that. Zooming out. And yeah, overall he looks good. I've really been impressed with this this group, Warbotron. I didn't know what to expect from them, but as if you've watched any of my previous reviews on this group, I'm really impressed with them. The plastic quality is really solid. I mean, I do think they make some interesting design decisions sometimes, but overall the plastic quality, the packaging and so forth, they're really bringing it as far as a third-party company. So I'm really impressed. So let's go ahead and take a look at this guy. Zoom out maybe a little bit more. There we go. So we can get a look at him completely from all sides. It's a pretty clean figure aside from this weird backpack and nose cone, which they don't really do anything with. It can't really hide anywhere, which is unfortunate, but not too terrible as far as Transformers go. Back to the front. Let's talk about articulation. So his head is on a ball joint. So you get some head bobble and back and forth and up and down. Not a lot of down and not a lot of up, but still a good range of motion for the head. He has these shoulder pads which are on a hinge and ball joint. They kind of allow you to get things out of the way, but his arms can rotate 360 as long as you get the shoulder pieces out of the way. You might have to move the back. He does have an upper bicep swivel. He does have double jointed elbows, which you can kind of make use of, but not a ton. It doesn't give you, but it still gives you more than 90 degrees, which is good. A little bit thin here. I'm not really sure why. It allows you to bend backwards, but I don't know why they did that because I don't see a function of bending backwards for transformation. But yeah, he does have wrist swivel, and his four fingers are one molded piece on a pin. No thumb articulation. As far as his waist goes, he does get 360 degrees, which is very nice. He does have this little crotch piece that goes up that allows you to get some more freedom of movement for his legs. And his legs are ratcheted, soft ratchets here. And I heard that is one of the major changes from version 1 to this version 2. You can do the splits. He does have a upper thigh swivel. A decent knee bend, not 90 degrees, but pretty close. And coming down to his feet are on a kind of like a post that can come forward a lot. It can go back quite a bit as well, and he has this heel that is one of the I guess jet engines or whatever. Not jet engine. Why can't I think of it? But anyways, one of the plasters, I guess. Man, I can't believe I can't think of it. Anyway, he also has some toe articulation. Actually, a lot. It can go around, but that's mostly for transformation. But it gives you some tilt as well as some additional bend. So you get a lot of posability out of the foot here, especially since it's on a ball joint. It's really great. And I think that's it for articulation on this guy. You do have these wings that can fold around, and they can articulate out if you want to pose them in different ways. But yeah, the official transformation is to have them folded up like so. But yeah, he's nice and solid. I'm glad that they took him back to the drawing board and made some fixes, because I saw some early reviews and there were a lot of problems. But yeah, overall very solid in robot mode. These things can kind of get in the way, but since they're on ball joints and these posts, you get a lot of range of motion with them, so you can pretty much get him in any pose that you really want if you position these. Talking about the accessories, you get one of the guns here, which you can peg in here or make use of some of the peg holes, like on his forearm or on his leg if you want to do that. There's other places like on his back, but that's usually hidden by this. But yeah, there's a couple of different options for that. I would just use them as guns. But he also comes with two of these, which are used, make up that form together to form part of the space shuttle mode, but they can also be used as weapons, as missile launchers. So if you pull this all the way forward, you get 4 like missile launchers here. And you can plug these into the arms, like so. Or on the other side, you can actually pull this peg forward. It'll actually turn into a handle that you can use as a gun, which goes right in. There we go. So yeah, you have a couple of options with these accessories. It is parts forming with these 2 parts, but it's not a huge deal for me. As far as just overall thoughts on robot mode, I think it looks really good. A nice amount of detail. Again, the plastic quality is great. Nice use of paint apps that are used sparingly, both with the silver here. I love the color. I think it's a pretty good representation of the G1 figure and toy. Some of the complaints I have, he has hollow arms, and I just really hate companies that do this, just because it's so easy just to put one piece of plastic here and a pin that opens up and closes. I mean, I don't know why they skimp on one tiny piece of plastic, and it looks really terrible. But otherwise, he looks pretty clean. Again, I wish there was something that you could do with this. They probably could have figured out something, but I mean, for now, all I do is kind of peg it in up under his lower back. But yeah, he looks pretty clean overall. He does have this weird kind of backpack, but it's not that noticeable, honestly, like this part. This part, yes. But overall, I think he looks really good. He's probably, even though I like him, he's probably my least favorite of the 3 I've reviewed so far that have come out. But that's not to say I don't like him. One of the complaints I do have is with he has sliding legs for transformation, but just the way the screw hole is positioned here, like this leg likes to kind of collapse into there, and it's not supposed to do that. It makes it almost look like you have like some knee tilt in there. It's not supposed to do that, but it does that really easily, so that's kind of annoying. But other than that, he looks really good. I think for the price that you guys pay for this, which is about 85 to 90 bucks shipped, especially if you get them from Captured Prey, which is where I got it from. So quick shout out to Sidecutter and Captured Prey. You can get that using the link below. And if you use the code Warbotron in all caps, you do get a discount and free shipping. So do not forget to do that if you like this guy and after the review you want to pick him up. Alright, so to get into transformation, it's pretty easy. The first thing I like to do is actually turn his head around like so, and you'll see why in a bit. You're going to want to get these shoulder pads up and kind of twist it around. And what these do will come up and peg into place here. So if you didn't flip the head, you'll still be able to see the head from underneath, but if you flip them up like this, you'll see the back of the head, which is much nicer. So let's go up since it's kind of tall. You're going to flip this piece up, and what you're supposed to do is peg both of these halves together and then push this in. It clips into this space here. I think it's a little bit easier to push this down and then clip these pieces around it, but you can do it either way. I find this a bit easier to do and less scary. I don't want to break that tab on the nose cone. So you have the front of the spaceship done. The next part you're going to do is come to the hands. You're going to want to rotate them so that they're upside down, and you're going to flip them in like so. Again, if they had put a little panel here, I'd be much happier. Alright, then you're going to open up the forearms. There's panels here that open up. You want to get them open up pretty wide as far as they go, which is not perfectly flush, but open pretty wide. Next, coming to the backpack, we're going to open them up so that you can access these small panels that fold out here. All right. And next, what you're going to do is fold in the shoulders. They're going to rotate up all the way like so. And then you're going to want to rotate the forearms down using that bicep swivel. So again, you can do that first if you want. You can rotate this down and then rotate it up. Either way, the order doesn't matter as long as you get both of them done. And then you can see the body of the space shuttle starting to form. Once you do that, you want to fold down those two pieces that made up the backpack. And they peg in here and here. And it's kind of weird. There's like a small gap here. It looks like this is supposed to tab into the front. I don't know why they didn't. I think that might just be an error. They're supposed to be, if they just made this a little bit higher, the brown piece a little bit higher, it would sit flush and look a bit cleaner. It's not a huge deal though. Alright, so now we're going to go deal with the lower body. So the thing I like to do first is deal with the feet. So you want to rotate them up on that hinge, but you also want to rotate these 180 degrees first. Okay, and you want to rotate them up and go down like that. So the toes, rotate around, flip them up, and they kind of lay flat there. Not even flat, they lay at an angle. That looks kind of weak. I think they could have done something a little bit better there too, to make that sit more flush. From here, I like to collapse the legs individually. So just press up on them. Oh, it's usually pretty easy. Oh, there we go. That was easy. Press up on this one as well. And have them collapse all the way up. And then I peg the two halves together. I think it's a bit easier to do it that way than to peg it together and then collapse them. So once these are all collapsed, you can make use of this peg in here to go into the slot in the upper hip area. It's kind of hard to see, so you kind of have to feel your way in. There we go. But yeah, really that's it. And then from here, if you haven't, thrusters, that's what these things are called. I don't know why I couldn't think of it earlier. So if you angle these heels, which are the thrusters, straight, you just want to straighten them out. And then you want to take the wings, fold them up on this double hinge so they're straight, and then fold them down, like so, and then fold this piece straight up. So get on this side, fold this straight using the double hinge. Oops, it fell off. Fold this up, and you can use the peg, which plugs in here. Rotate there, and then you have that done. One of the complaints that they had from the first version, which still exists here, is this really weak hinge. So you just have to be careful. It does flop down, but again, not a huge deal. I'll tighten that up with some future later. Now here's where the parts forming comes into play. If you had the handle as a gun, just fold it back. You're gonna push this in, these missile launchers, all the way back. It's kind of weird that they made it go so far back. Considering they only come out a little bit, they make you push it all the way back, even though it's a really short piece. It's kind of weird. And then you peg the two halves together like so. Peg the two fins together. And making use of these two pegs here and these two in the front, you just plug it right in on top. And then you have airburst, aka blast off, in alt mode. And you can make use of these guns in a number of different ways. I just plugged them into the bottom here, under the wings. There's two sets on each of those wings at the bottom. And then lastly, if you want to use their landing gear, come up to the chest area and pull out the landing gear here. So you get little small tiny wheels that you can make use of. The rear wheel landing gear are just molded pieces, not actual wheels. But yeah, that's it. Alt mode is, I think, the weaker of the two. There's a lot of just gaps and lines and just not flushness here. Like this is very not aerodynamic. But overall, it looks pretty decent. I'm not going to complain too much about it, but they definitely could have done a bit better on the design to make sure everything fit a little bit smoother. It's like very apparent in a lot of places that it's just kind of not well kind of like formed. I think they could have made it a lot more clean and aerodynamic. But it's a, you know, respectable looking space shuttle, I suppose. I think most space shuttles have more than just 2 thrusters though. I think they have like probably like 5. I want to say 3 or 5. So this wing really bothers me. I wish they fixed that a little bit more, but it's not a huge deal. Both of them are like that, but my one side's worse. This was a problem from the first version, so I thought they would fix it, but apparently not. Alright, well that's really it for alt mode review. We looked at it from all sides. Again, you can make use of these guns by plugging them up here, but otherwise, a pretty respectable alt mode. Again, I think he's my least favorite of the 3 so far, and that's because both modes are kind of, they're nice. They're definitely nice, but they're just not as nice as Heavy Noisy or Sly Strike. I love Sly Strike. They're swindle. All right, let's go ahead and get this guy formed back into robot mode, which again is super simple. So unpeg this piece up here, separate them. And again, let's just pull out, not this part, let's pull out the missile array on the front, just to get that out of the way. There we go. Put those off to the side for now. Let's go ahead and rotate up the landing gear that was on the chest. Then we're going to deal with the lower body. Again, I'd like to, here, let's unplug these two. I'd like to deal with the legs separately. So the first thing you'll do is fold these down so that you get access. Man, these pegs are a little shorter than I would like as well. I should have mentioned that they come undone pretty easily. So the first thing you want to do is get these panels here unplugged so that you can split the legs more easily, and then just pull out on the legs. Pull out all the way until you see part of the knee joint, and you'll hear a click too, very defined click. And you're going to want to fold these up around this way, and then one more time. Same thing on this side, fold it in all the way, and it sits on the back, which is very nice. You can angle these thrusters back a bit, pull the foot down, and then rotate the toes 180 degrees. Okay. So with that, we're done with the lower body for the most part. To deal with the upper body, we're going to go ahead and pull these panels up and back. And we're going to rotate, oh sorry, should have scooted that up. So I just pulled these panels up and back like so. You can tuck these in. You can actually fold these arm panels in as well at this point. And then you're going to want to rotate the arms out at the shoulders. Since we're already messing with the arms, go ahead and rotate the fist out. There's no tab here, which is another small complaint. So what I end up doing is like kind of grabbing the fingers to help me rotate these out. There we go. Rotate that out and rotate the fist 180 degrees. Same thing with this side here. If I can get in there and pull them out. There we go. I will say most of the figure is really nice and tight. Like all the joints are. It's just those little wing tips that are a problem. Alright, from here, separate these two halves. Lift the nose cone up and back. And you can fold these panels back down flat and flush against the back of the body. You're going to want to pull the shoulder pads up and rotate them around. They're easy to rotate forward towards the camera, and then rotate the head around if you did that before. And with that, you are back in robot mode. So as with the rest of the series, the transformation is pretty intuitive. You really don't need instructions. It's very simple, but still pretty fun. I mean, again, a little bit of parts forming, which is present with him and Heavy Noisy, but it's nothing that I can't live with. For display options, I really usually just go with plugging these into the side. I think they look a little bit better on the side as kind of like arm cannons than they do as guns. But again, it's up to you. And then making use of these as guns. I'm not going to go into the arm mode transformation because I always save that for the combined mode review that I do. But it's pretty basic, and you'll see that he is the right arm. And to get to his combiner port, you just open up his chest panel, and you'll see his combiner port, a nice square combiner port. I don't think we've seen one kind of like this before. Maybe Make Toys Giant. I think they had a square one too, which was slightly different. But yeah, we'll cover that in the combined mode review that I do separately. Alright, so final thoughts on Airburst. I really like him. I think he's a really fun character. Again, they do a really good job of modernizing some of his look. The colors are great. I think they're a great representation. They just really look really nice. And, you know, I really don't typically like kind of this milk chocolate brown, but it goes really well with the purple. And they do nice touches of silver paint here and there, like really subtle ones. Like you can see on the forearms, just this really thin line here. Some paint on the vents here, which really do make him pop. They do a really good and elegant job of the paint apps. And again, right here on the wingtips, they probably didn't need to do that, but they did go out of their way to do that. Same thing here. So I really like Warbotron. They're becoming one of my favorite companies, just because of their attention to detail, especially with the packaging and stuff like that. I like their level of detail in the molding. It's not too crazy and it's not too simple. So it's a good mix for me. I really like the aesthetics of these guys. Again, he is my least favorite of the three that are out so far. I don't think that's a real negative on him. I think that's just a testament to how much I like their Swindle, their Sly Strike. I love him. I love him. And I think their Brawl, their Heavy Noisy is also really fun, just because he's a tank, and I think they do some really cool stuff with his turret. But yeah, I think that's it for my final thoughts. For the price that you pay for this guy, I think, which is about $85, $90 shipped, especially from Captured Prey, I think it's really worthwhile. I think he's going to be a massive combiner when he's done, which I'm really excited about. And I'm really excited for their Computron as well. I know they're releasing their first member of their Computron team pretty soon, and I'll be picking that up and doing a review of them as well. If you guys have any questions or comments, as always, leave them in the comment section below. If you guys want to pick one of these up, why don't you head over to Captured Prey, and again, use the coupon code Warbotron in all capital letters. It has to be all capital letters. I'll leave that in the description below as well. If you like the review, give it a thumbs up and share with other collectors. And as always, if you like what I'm doing, please go ahead and hit subscribe so you can keep up to date with all my videos and reviews. With that, I think we're done for today, everyone. Have a good one.